Hi everyone and welcome back. Today I want to share an art journal page with you using art anthology paints and sprays and some of the scraps that I found while I reorganized my craft room, which is, by the way, I can just give you the tip if you are looking for new stuff that you can use on your art journal pages or cards or whatever, just reorganize your craft room. You will find a whole bunch of stuff that you totally forgot that you have. Anyway, so I started with, because I knew what type of scraps I wanted to use, I decided that my page background has to be blue. So I used the Mermaid Velvet and no, not right, the Mermaid Sorbet, two velvet colors, one of them which is Lagoon, and then I also used the Sorbet and Pewter. As you can see, I'm just brushing it all over the page. There's no rhyme or reason when I'm doing something like that. What I usually try to do is going into one direction, and then I'm just putting paint onto it and try to mix it and blend it together till I have the result that I like. And because those art anthology paints really layer nicely because they are not entirely opaque, they are a little bit translucent. So that's why the layering of those and blending of those paints is really super easy, and it's a lot of fun to create a whole bunch of different types of backgrounds. The sorbet paints compared to the velvets, they are both basically the same, but the sorbet paints have glitter in it. So by adding the sorbet to it, I'm adding a really nice shine to the background of the page. And then I wanted to add a little bit more interest, and because the paints are really nice and thick, you can use them as texture paste, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm using one of the round stencils, one of the doily stencils, and I'm mixing two of the colors through that stencil together. And it's really not difficult. You just do it with like every other texture paste that is out there. You're using your palette knife, and then you just go like butter over the page, over the stencil till you have it covered the way you wanted it. And because I like things in three, like a lot of people, what I've learned now, I add a little extra areas on the top corners just to have a little bit more interest all over the page. Because my focal point is going to be the big doily at the bottom, but I wanted to add a little bit more interest to the other areas. So I'm using the pewter sorbet color over the stencil that was still dirty, so some of the blue and turquoise colors mixed in with the pewter. And then I'm adding a little bit brown because my focal point is going to be a rusty piece, so it has like a rusty look to it. So I wanted to add a little bit brown into the area. And by using the color sprays, you know, I'm impatient. There's a lot of drying involved, but no worries. I'm not showing you everything that I'm drying here. But because I'm not patient enough to just sit there and wait till my color sprays are dry, I'm heat setting everything, but I'm adding several layers of color spray on top of it. This is the Sandcastle, and I really like that brown there. I'm not a brown person usually. When you follow my projects, you see I'm usually one that likes more bright colors. But this Sandcastle coloration spray has like a brown tone to it that I really enjoy. So I'm adding a first layer, getting that mostly dry, and then I'm adding a second layer of brown. And what it does here, because I'm heat setting it actually and not letting it sit dry, it makes it a little bit look like a mix of coffee stain and rust going on the page, which is really interesting, what I think. But it just, because it's a lot of fluid, it just takes some time. So then that one area on top of there was a little too blank and too plain for my opinion, so I'm using one of the other stencils and just add a little pattern on top. You can hardly see it, but it's, when you look closely, you can see that there's a little bit extra going on, which I really like. And then I'm using the same blue, which is the Indigo coloration spray, and add it all over the page so it can mix a little bit more with the Sandcastle coloration spray, and just to add a little bit more texture. Those coloration spray, when you heat set them, and you see it, you have to try it yourself, but you see it when you heat set them, you get really a whole lot of interesting patterns. That's why I really like working with the Anthology coloration sprays, because I feel those create those patterns and those texture the best from all the color sprays that I've tried so far. And trust me, I tried a few. But you can get, it's similar to like when you paint with watercolors, that you get this watercolor effect. You get a similar effect with those coloration sprays, which is awesome. So, you know, I like adding words of some sort to a page. So I'm adding the word life with the lava texture paste on top, and then I'm preparing my focal point. And that's, I'm taking the rusty world, but I want to add something to make it stand apart more from the background page. So I'm taking just some old book paper and dab it into the same Sandcastle coloration spray that I used for the background, and then just heat set it. And then I'm adhering it. You could use gel medium in this case because I want them to be like not all plain on the page. I don't want them to be like really sticking to the page on all ends. I'm just using some regular Ranger gel medium and just added to, or collage medium, and just added to the middle of those pages so the borders and the corners stand up from the page, and it looks like it's really nice layering there. Then I'm adding excuse me, then I'm adding the world itself, and again here I'm just putting some regular paper crafting adhesive onto the bigger areas, and then I adhere it on top of the newspaper. Because it's paper on paper, I'm not too worried about it. And at that moment I was like, I'm not quite happy with it yet. There's still something missing. And another thing that I found when I reorganized my craft room were some leaves that have a really nice green tone to it, and they also have like a copper embossed on top of it. It looks like copper embossing powder, and they fit perfectly to that page. So I'm scattering those around the page and just adhering them with my regular adhesive underneath the newspaper and just scatter them around a little bit. I hope you enjoyed today's art journal page. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and then I'll hope I see you soon with my next project. Thanks for watching. Bye!